Hi artists! Today we're talking about making prints using styrofoam. Now, you might not have pieces of styrofoam in your house, which is totally okay. You can actually find it in your refrigerator or maybe even your recycling bin. These are trays that meat comes on from the grocery store. So if you have some of these, make sure you save them. Make sure they're washed out with soap and water, and then you can dry them off and use them for this activity because you can cut off this top lip part, and what you'll get behind is just a piece of styrofoam, which is what you'll need for this activity. You're also going to need some markers. You'll need a mat or wipeable surface to work on because this will get messy. Paper towel, paper for your prints, and some sort of roller. Now this is a brayer from the art room. I realize that most of you probably won't have a brayer at home, so you can use a rolling pin, or we can just gently give the back of the print a massage. I'll show you both ways if you don't have a rolling pin at home. And the last thing you'll need is some sort of pen. Okay guys, that's all you need for today's art project. Let's get... Okay, so we are going to take the styrofoam, and this styrofoam comes in packs. It can be bought like this, but if you used a meat tray, just make sure you cut off the edge here so you end up with a piece of flat styrofoam just like this. You're going to take a pen and you're going to draw right into the styrofoam. So since this week's theme is shape and line, we're going to be practicing drawing different types of lines on this piece of styrofoam. So I'm going to start by drawing a type of line. This is a wavy line. And as I'm drawing, I'm going to press down pretty hard. So I'm not pressing through all the way, but I am pressing pretty hard so you can see how deep it is. You want to be able to feel this line with your finger with your eyes closed. Sometimes it helps to go over this line 2 or 3 times to make sure it's pretty deep in there. And I'm going to do a couple of these lines. And I'm going to go over each one 2 or 3 times. You can see as I draw, the lines just get darker and darker, so I kind of actually want them a little bit dark. Okay, so this is a wavy line, and I'm going to continue doing this by doing different types of lines all over my styrofoam. So I'm going to do some straight lines. And then I'm going to do some diagonal lines. And the goal here is that using my pen, I've gone over every line 2 or 3 times, and I filled up the entire styrofoam. Now, for printing on styrofoam, you want your designs and lines not to be too close together. If they're too close together, it can kind of be a little bit of a muddied mess. So leaving lots of space in between is actually a better idea. On this project, it's best to be simple and safe. So make your design simple. Don't make it super complicated. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit more and I'll be right back to show you. Okay, so I've drawn a lot of lines on my styrofoam and I want to go over them so that you guys, if you want to copy them, you can know the proper name for them. So I've got horizontal lines, diagonal lines, wavy or bumpy lines, dashed lines, a swirl line, zigzag, curly vertical lines, and this is a circle line. Here up in this space I haven't drawn yet, I'm drawing a scalloped line, and they look like little hills or U's. Remember, when you're drawing all these lines, to go over them 2 or 3 times. And then if you want to make the scallop line a little bit more interesting, you can always turn it into almost like a mermaid scale. And so now I'm going to draw these ends of my line at the top of the hill. And sometimes it's easier to look when you're doing this a mermaid scale if you turn your paper over like this so that they do look like hills. And then for my older students, I have a more challenging line design to do, and it's this one. This is almost like a dragon scale, and that line is just like a V. It's more accented on the sides. It kind of curves out, and I've done 2 of those, and I've drawn them almost exactly like I'm doing this a mermaid scale. So I did the longest line first, and then I flipped it over and was drawing in the in-between spaces. So just like I did this mermaid line, only it's pointy instead of curved. And I did one on the inside like that. So you can make your lines and your designs on your print however you want. Just know that this week and today we're focusing on line and shape. So it might be helpful in your art if you did some practice. That way when we're back in school next school year, you've had some practice doing this. So I'm filling up this entire space and so that my print is more exciting and interesting to look at for my viewer. Okay, and in this last space, I'm going to do some irregular zigzag lines. So these ones are very much so the same angle, same length, and these ones are irregular. And mine is all filled up now. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up for printing, and when I'm set up for printing, I'll be right back to show you everything that you need to make prints from the styrofoam. Okay, so now that this is totally done, I've brought my markers over and I'm going to be coloring directly on the styrofoam. So you can color this however you want. You guys know I love a rainbow. It doesn't have to be totally accurate. All you're trying to do is get the color on the styrofoam. So I'm going to color, I'm using the side of the marker so I can color more area at a time. And I'm going to slightly overlap my colors so that I'm mixing red and orange here to make the tertiary color red-orange. I'm going to do that with all my markers going all the way down this styrofoam print. Remember, the rainbow colors are red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet. Roy G. Biv. And then sometimes in our art room, since everyone loves the color pink, especially Mrs. Hamilton, we add pink after violet. Now there is no pink in the rainbow, but lots of us want to use it, so that's where we put it in our art room. Okay. Now this color is called Primrose. I put it at the end. It's a Crayola color. I put it at the end of my rainbow. And then I use pink. All right, so I'm going to set my markers aside because I've colored the whole thing. So now I want to grab a piece of my paper and I'm going to spray with water the paper. I want the paper pretty wet. Now if you don't have a spray bottle, it's totally fine. You can actually wipe water on the paper or flick it with your fingers or paint it on with a paintbrush. You just want the paper wet. And now you're gonna flip the paper over so wet side is down on your styrofoam. And once the paper's on, you don't want to move it. And now you're going to take your roller or your rolling pin and you're going to roll on your paper. You want to go over everything a couple of times and then peel back. And you've made a print of your styrofoam. Look at that. And most of the marker will come right off when you do this. So now I'm going to show you how to do this with just using your hands. If you don't have a rolling pin or roller brayer like this one at home. So I'm going to dry this off and I'm going to come right back once it's colored again to show you how to do the second way of giving your print a little bit of a massage. But look at how good this turns out. You can make as many prints as possible using this method with your styrofoam. So I'll be right back when this is dry and colored a second time. So I've recolored my print. I'm going to put water on my paper again. Remember, if you don't have a spray bottle, that's totally okay. You just want your paper covered with the water so you can do it with your hand, you can flick water on, you can do it with a brush. You're going to turn this over, put it on top of your styrofoam, try and center it the best you can. Just once the paper's on, don't move it. Okay, and what you're gonna do is you're gonna press down firmly on the paper and rub all the edges and the corners, and you're gonna give your paper a little massage all over. Corners and edges are important because a lot of people forget those when making prints, and then you don't get nice, clean, crisp edges. Whoops. Okay, and then gently peel off. And look at that. It works just as fine as having a roller. So this is me doing a little massage. So this is option 2. And this is option 1. Look at that. They're exactly the same. So it doesn't matter if you don't have a brayer or rolling pin at home. Giving it a little bit of a massage on the back will work just as fine. Okay, artists, I can't wait to see what you do. Make sure you practice some of those lines and designs on your styrofoam. You can use whatever colors you want in whichever method of making your prints. I can't wait to see. Bye, guys.